I'm Haley. Welcome to the whole podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hi, everyone. We are back. We are going to do a part 2 for all of our questions coming up. We just had a lot to cover with Kelly here, so we are super excited to talk about things that aren't necessarily always talked about. So, welcome back, Kelly. We love having you here. This has been a great podcast episode to go through with you. So, I'm looking forward to our next conversation.
Thank you. Me too. Some of
Yes.
my favorite stuff to talk about for
I
sure.
know. But again, it's stuff that isn't always talked about. So,
Absolutely.
thanks for going through it with me.
Oh, no problem. My pleasure.
Okay, so we're going to talk about ableism and stigma.
Okay.
Okay, so the first question, we've kind of talked about this in our previous one, but how did your injury influence your understanding of ableism and what stigmas have you been through in everyday life? Where do you want to start with all of this? Let's go that way.
Yeah. So that's a 10-hour conversation.
I
So what I
know
can
it
do
is.
is give like examples. So I don't even know that ableism was a term when I sustained my spinal cord injury
Really?
27 years ago. I don't even know if it was a term. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that autocorrect would not take it. Like it didn't recognize it as a word
Uh-huh.
in your phone. So I don't even know that it had been coined yet, or if it, I certainly didn't know about it.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I hadn't experienced any ism before I was 25 after I sustained the spinal cord injury
Mm-hmm.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I remember was being aware of my own internalized ableism. So I was laying in ICU right after the car crash, hooked up to all these machines, lots of surgeries. Um, I'd heard that I was going to be using a wheelchair, but I hadn't seen one. I hadn't seen a wheelchair yet. And, that I think they had me pretty drugged up. I didn't really believe them or know or think about it. But once I finally kind of realized, oh, you're going to be paralyzed, you're not going to be walking, um, I had this really profound aha moment, like Oprah Winfrey calls them aha moments. And I remember it vividly. And I thought, oh, they're the same as me. And when I say they, I mean people who use wheelchairs because I didn't think about it consciously, but subconsciously, I thought people who use wheelchairs and had significant disabilities were inherently different than me. And I realized that I was thinking, oh, they're the same as me because I became one of them in a split second in a Jeep crash when my body flew into the back seat. So, and I didn't change. I was just the same exact person. So that was really an aha moment. And I remembered back in high school, the kids with disabilities were segregated, whether they needed to be in alternative classes or special classes, or whatever you want to call it, or not. The kids with disabilities were segregated and put into a different building, but the building was attached to the other buildings at my high school. And I remember the kids that use wheelchairs were in the gym, always kind of together. And it never occurred to me to go over and say, "Hi, I'm Kelly," and talk to him, or like you would a walking teenager. It just never occurred to me. I guess I always saw them as separate, but I never thought about it. I never thought anything bad. I never thought anything was wrong. Um, I just didn't think. But I do think there was an assumption that they were different. So ICU is the first place I realized that ableism that I had it wasn't. I didn't get rid of it yet because of what society had taught me. Maybe um, my first experience with it was I was in rehabilitation, learning how to do things like put a pair of pants on without moving my legs. You have to relearn all these things. And I'd been paralyzed maybe 2 months, um, 2.5 at the most. Went out with a girlfriend. She took me out to a bar slash restaurant right on the ocean in Santa Barbara where I was living. And we were sitting there listening to a musician, and it was a really nice place. But the musician walked over to my friend on his break and said, "She's so pretty. Can she talk?" And I thought, oh my gosh, this is how my life's going to be now. Now, granted, I was not carrying myself the same way I am now. I had a big back brace on because I was still healing, probably had an oxygen tank with me, at least a small one, and not the confidence and not the right wheelchair. Sure, it was a bigger, clunkier wheelchair. So, now that it wouldn't go down that way. But that was my first taste. And then also a guy I was seeing then, had been dating, said to me when we were at the beach, because he went and picked me up from rehab and we went out. He said, maybe there's got to be guys in wheelchairs, good looking guys in wheelchairs. He's basically telling me I need to look elsewhere. So that was like, oh, okay. You don't want me because I can't walk, you know, um, that sort of thing. But, ableism and stigma, when you're a wheelchair user or, there's all sorts of disabilities, but you're going to deal with, if it's a visible one, you're going to deal with ableism and stigma kind of day in, day out. I mean, maybe not every day, but it's everywhere. I mean, it's pervasive. It's on TV. It's, there's no escaping. I remember watching a movie and the wife character in the movie said to her husband, "You're having an affair." The woman in the corner office, and he goes, "Ugh, come on, she's in a wheelchair, please." Like that sort of thing is everywhere. So, and on Facebook not long ago, a guy was saying we're talking about something about sex, and what if I the insinuation was, well, what if your um, wife got paralyzed and you can never have sex again? Well, I got on there and, obviously say, excuse me,
Mhm.
people who use wheelchairs have sex if they want to, most of them, but, can't speak for everybody. But anyway, that sort of stuff. But one thing I find is that, I mean, ableism, some of it is blatant, right? So I haven't dealt with it where I felt discriminated against in a job interview or something like that, or um, something blatant like that. Obviously, ADA violations are a form of ableism when a business doesn't want to get accessible. But what I find is that some people want to make it your master status. They want to make it the most relevant characteristic about you as a human being. So I am a friend. I am a sister. I am a daughter. I am a wife. I'm an army wife. I'm a volunteer. I'm a public speaker. I'm 50 other things. But wheelchair user becomes relevant to strangers, especially older ones. And so you'll get just, and it's coming. You don't blend into a crowd. And I can usually call it out when it's coming. But the other day I was going to go get my nails done. I was in rural Kansas. So that's a thing too, geography.
Mhm.
Um, Nothing against rural Kansas because people are super friendly. But I was getting out of my car and there was this guy that was like 1,000 years old nearby. I mean, 100. And I could tell, and he was very close to my car and watching me get out of the car. And I did it really quick. And I thought, Kelly, be nice. I wasn't in the mood for any comments. But I'm like, you're going to get it. You're going to get it. You're going to get a comment about your wheelchair or your disability. Instead of saying, it's a million degrees out, isn't it? Because it was. He's going to say something. And I was right. I rolled by him and he goes, "You need a motor on that thing." And I said, "Good afternoon, sir." And I didn't engage and kept going.
Mm.
So is that ableism? It's just him it's him making wheelchair user my master status was just unnecessary. I didn't feel the need to comment on the fact that he was using a walker because I could have made some joke about his walker,
Mhm.
right? And I didn't. It didn't occur to me to do so. Another example of master status is my website guy back in 2009 or 2010. All of a sudden, I was in his office. He pointed at my wheelchair. I mean, he first said, "Your Paul's a great guy. Your husband's a great guy." And I said, "How do you know, Mike? You've never met him. He could be an ex murderer. he said, "Well, he married that thing too," and pointed at my wheelchair. I said, "Really?" I said, "That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Did your wife marry those?" And I pointed at his eyeglasses. I said, "Your eyeglasses are simply a piece of medical equipment that improves the quality of your life. My wheelchair is simply a piece of medical equipment that improves the quality of my life. My husband and I have a mutually beneficial relationship. He's not some great guy because um, he married somebody that happens to not walk. And so, as I said, I have things to offer, in a relationship. But anyway, I fired him, of course. And I just, because if he thinks of me as a lesser than, like I'm lucky to have a husband, then he doesn't get my money. It doesn't get to run my website, of course. But we have to surround ourselves with high quality people. Right.
I agree.
But yeah, that sort of thing. But ableism, I mean, I could tell so many funny jokes about ableist microaggressions. So many, because you
Mhm.
just get it, being patronized. And I remember getting a door at a restaurant. This is years ago. And I just go open the door and some woman goes, "Oh, you're good at that, aren't you?"
Excuse me.
Yeah. And I'm just like, "Oh, yeah." Sometimes I
Opening the
don't know what to
door.
do with it. It depends on your mood.
Yes.
Right. And
Yes.
so now I wouldn't call this ableism. I would call this making an assumption. But, and it also depends on personality type. And so people ask me, what's the rule of thumb with this or that? And I'll say, it's hard to pin down a rule of thumb. All the walking people are different, just like all wheelchair users are different. We're all different. So there's common sense stuff like don't pat people on the head, or, I mean,
Mhm.
don't use archaic language um, about with regard to people with disabilities. But um, I forgot where I was going with that.
That's okay. Don't grab somebody's wheelchair and start pushing them
Don't, yeah,
unless
yeah.
you're like
There's
friends, like good friends, you know?
right. And I just remembered, excuse me,
Yeah, take your time.
I remember what I was going to say. So in 2000, I want to say three, I started therapy because I was having a hard time dealing with strangers in public. Remember, I had 25 years of being treated maybe even better than the average person, based on the social currency I had when I was younger. But I got tired of people asking me if I needed help because I wanted to be independent and not seen as somebody needs help. And I had to go get help with dealing with that. I didn't have to go to the therapist because I wasn't walking. I didn't have to go to the therapist because I wasn't hiking mountains or because everything's taking longer. I had to go to learn to deal with other human beings. So
Mhm.
I asked her, I talked about, I get tired of people asking if I need help all the time. And she said her advice was to respond to that in a way that makes me feel best about myself. And so what I kind of learned is letting him off the hook completely at the time didn't make me feel good by saying no, thank you. But being mean didn't feel good.
Mm.
So I kind of found a middle ground that I used for a long time. I've changed my policy on this now or last few years, but um, I my stock answer most of the time was when they said, "Do you need help?" I would say, "Yeah, I need some money," and I'd smile, and they didn't know what to do with that. By the time they were done being confused, my wheelchair was already put together,
Mhm.
because they come up when you're getting out of the car and do that, and I can do it a lot faster than anybody else. But anyway, last few years, I'm just like, yeah, no, thanks, I got it. I think that it's I just give them grace and whatever, and it doesn't bother me. But there are times you're just not in the mood to be bothered.
Yes.
Like, just leave me alone. I wouldn't be out alone if I needed assistance.
Mhm.
I went into a bathroom stall in my hometown recently at an event and was going into the stall, and this lady was in there and goes, "Do you need any help?" And I'm like, "Do I say, yeah, I need you to wipe me, or how do I handle this?" But the first thing that came out of my mouth was, "I'm just going to pretend like you didn't ask me that," and then I went in.
Mhm. It does depend on the day though,
It
like
does.
how you
But
respond.
I actually knew the area of my hometown that I was in.
Mhm.
Before I went in the bathroom, I knew something could happen because people were drinking. And I had to mentally prepare myself to go in the bathroom because I knew there was a significant chance of some kind of comment with regard to my disability.
Mhm.
Somebody's going to ask me if I need help. And, going to the bathroom. Um, Not everybody gets irritated about that, who uses the wheelchair. We're all different. Like I said earlier, we're all different.
Mhm.
But there's common sense. If somebody's not bleeding, crying, struggling in some way, laying on the ground because they fell, they're fine. They've got a plan. If it's somebody that's a power wheelchair user or someone that's older or something like that, and you're right by the door, yeah, grab the door for them. I mean, that's common sense, right?
Mhm. You would
Um,
do that for anyone
do
else.
you know what's fun is when if I open a door for a stranger, they don't know what to do with that.
I do that too.
They don't know but most people they can't tell that you have a disability,
When
right?
I use my cane, I
Oh,
I
and use
do
your
that
cane.
a lot. Yeah.
So it's fun to they don't know what to do with it. They're scared to walk through it.
Mhm.
They don't know how to handle it.
Yes.
It's
It's
fun.
very entertaining.
It is entertaining. Sometimes I feel like somebody could follow me around and record me all day,
Mhm.
and some of it would be entertaining, including that.
Yep.
So yeah, it's have some fun. It's just sometimes it just gets a little old. Why can't I just be Kelly?
Yeah.
Why does it always have to be about the wheelchair, the spinal cord injury?
Yep.
So, but with regard to stigma, the head of the disability studies department, where I got um, graduate degree in disability studies, she said, and she had a PhD in disability studies, that the most stigmatized, moving on to stigma a little bit, the most stigmatized group, because there are a lot of subgroups under, the disability group, right? We encompass the largest minority when you take all the disabilities into account. CDC saying 1 in 4, and the World Health Organization saying 1 in 5. But when you take them all into account, she said people with mental health disabilities, sometimes they're called psychiatric disabilities, are the most stigmatized. And I would agree, having bipolar disorder and having come out, because the stigma, I had that until 2 years ago. But having come out 2 years ago, I would agree that mental health disabilities are definitely the most stigmatized. And then up from that, the next tier is probably IDD, so intellectual disabilities. Um, and then, you kind of move up. And then invisible disabilities is there's other issues there, but they're obviously not going to
Mhm.
have to deal with the same level of stigma. They actually don't get believed when they have pain or something like that. And so, yeah, but they're not going to deal, with quite the level of ableism and stigma unless it's visible.
Mhm.
But it is powerful. I mean, in a negative way, the stigma, because as far as mental health disabilities, it keeps people from taking medication that they actually need, reaching out for help.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, I mean, up to 20%
Mhm.
of people with bipolar disorder end up dying by suicide, is an example. And it's a lot of it, you know, not all of it, but a lot of it comes down to stigma. People are not wanting to admit to themselves that they have it. They don't want to take the pills. I mean, that's part of it. Part of it is they don't want to change how they feel. But yeah, stigma is also pervasive in our society, and people assume that people with mental health disabilities are violent, and they're actually much more likely to be a victim of a violent crime than to commit a violent crime. But stigma with regard to mobility related disabilities, there is a stigma. It's different than mental health disabilities, but um, there's the charity model, right? So people assume you need charity or pity, and you're an object of pity, or that you're a patient. There's a medical model of disability, that ties in, that they assume that you're sick or unhealthy. I checked into the emergency room, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I had a rash on my face. I don't know what it was. Um, and this nurse that was checking me in was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "I have a rash. Like, I need to deal with this rash that's on my face. It's making my eyes swell." Excuse me. And she just couldn't get over it. I felt like there's no need to talk about my spinal cord injury. So she's just like, "What's wrong with you though? What?" And I just like, it was completely irrelevant to my rash. So I didn't go there. She just couldn't help it.
Mhm.
But that's the medical model of disability. She looked at it like there was something wrong with me because I couldn't walk. Some people are born
Mhm.
mobility mobility related disabilities, and so what's wrong with you? They would they look at it as a value. So their disability, they look at as a value neutral characteristic, like having brown eyes or brown hair. And so saying what's wrong with them is highly insulting. What's wrong with you? Um, so yeah, that's part of it too. Yeah, let me know if you want me to elaborate on something on a subtopic under the ableism umbrella. I can tell stories all day about dealing with people in public.
I mean, unfortunately, so can I, but I think it's important to talk about those things because a lot of the times people don't think that they're doing anything wrong. And so it's frustrating to always, well, you and I talked about it earlier, to always have to be responsible for teaching people. And there are days I just don't even want to,
It's not your
yeah,
responsibility
I don't want to talk
to
about it.
help an ableist person become less ableist. If
Hmm.
you are willing to carve out the time out of your schedule,
Hmm.
then you can educate them. It depends on what you've got going on.
Yeah.
It's not your responsibility to help them be a better person. Um,
It's exhausting.
so yes, and when people say, "Well, they don't know any better," because that's what I hear on Facebook, I'm like,
Research it,
um,
Google it.
"Well, I don't really look at it quite that way."
Okay.
They could Google it if they're curious,
Yeah.
like, but if they're saying things like, and then they can tell they're offensive, um, and they go Google it. There's that. They could Google
Hmm.
ableism. Usually people will say stuff, don't even know what that is.
Right.
But I look at it like it comes from somewhere. So the ableism comes from a deep seated belief that able bodied people are superior to individuals with disabilities, right?
Hmm.
So, no, they didn't mean anything by it. That doesn't cut it with me
Mm-mm.
because we don't let people off the hook for sexism, misogyny, homophobia, Islamophobia, um, racism, all the isms, right?
Hmm.
Um, y- we try to call that stuff out. But with ableism, it's like it's allowed, like, oh, they don't know any better.
Hmm.
Well, no, it comes from a bad place, a belief.
Hmm.
And so, no, you don't get to be a racist just because you didn't know you were a racist. Or
Right.
guess what? You don't get to be an ableist because you didn't know you were an ableist.
Yeah.
And so, no, I don't say it's okay. Now, the unsolicited offers for assistance, I wouldn't say that's ableist. I would say that's them thinking, it's got to be tougher to get around. How can I make their life a little easier?
Mm.
How, because they don't know how they would do it. How would
Right.
they get the door? Um, they might not be able to, they don't know that I can get to a certain angle and get it 99% of the time. And some wheelchair users need and want that. So
Hmm.
I'm not talking about the help thing when I
Hmm.
talk about ableism, because that's a different conversation. That's just more of a Kelly issue, I think, too. It's a personality type. I don't want to be seen as dependent or needing help.
Hmm.
Even though once in a while I do.
It's nice,
Yeah,
but I try
definitely.
not to rely on that too much because it sets an example.
Absolutely. So I went to speak at West Point a couple times. I've been to speak there a couple times the last few years, and my husband didn't really want to go, but I also didn't want him to go because I was going to be dealing with a lot of military leaders and speaking to thousands of cadets. But I didn't want it to appear that I need like a helper with me.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I needed to be there and deal with them. They needed to deal with me with all the business,
Hmm.
um, logistics. I didn't want, them trying to talk to him about lighting or anything. It's
Hmm.
all me, audiovisual, the audiovisual setup. I just didn't, I don't really like anyone with me when I'm going, traveling on business to deliver a speech. Or if they are with me, they can just go sit in the audience and um, that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
you do set an example. Now, I have gotten past the point of I have to grab my suitcase off what's that thing called at the airport?
Yeah. The belt
Conveyor
thing.
belt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I used to think I had to get it. Like, okay, now I'm like, I don't have anything to prove to all these strangers because I'm going to tear up a shoulder grabbing that thing off there, right?
Hmm.
So I don't do that anymore. I have nothing to prove.
Yeah.
So it's not worth the risk
Mm.
to, and I shouldn't have to put on a show. I need to think about my health first and foremost.
Yeah.
If I'm standing there just looking for a suitcase, someone's always gonna say, "Hey, can I get that for you?" I mean, like,
Mhm.
every time.
Mhm. Mhm.
Or if I go try to grab it, I mean, it obviously depends on the bag. Somebody will just wanna do it, and I'm like, "Okay," you
Thank
know?
you.
So there's really no winning, right,
No.
with the help thing. It's hard to navigate, and unless you're in the position, you do the best you can.
Mhm.
I mean, I do the best I can. I try not to bite people's head off and try to
Mhm.
give people grace, but in the beginning, when I was adjusting, I wasn't always pleasant. I mean, somebody will say, "Do you need any help?" When I'm just, sitting in the access aisle next to my car on the phone, and I would just say, "No, do you need any help?"
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
Which wasn't very nice,
Yeah. But
but
I understand it because there are times where you just have too many things that you're trying to accommodate for yourself and trying to figure out what you can and can't do on any given day. And it's just, again, it's exhausting.
it is. Sometimes you're in survival mode, right?
Mhm.
So all the accessible I was in Liberty at a restaurant the other day, and, all the accessible spots were taken.
Oh
And there
boy.
was high construction zone, so I had to take up 2 spots.
Mhm.
Like, there was nowhere.
Yeah.
There was a busy highway. I mean, there's nowhere to park, so I had to take up 2 spots. I did not want to.
Mhm.
And this man rolled down his window behind me, his truck, and he goes, "Hey, you're taking up 2 spots." And I said, "I know. I'm so sorry. I said I need extra space to put my wheelchair together. I'm actually paralyzed." He goes, "I don't want to hear any of that. 1 spot only." And I said, "I've got an idea. Why don't you mind your own business?"
Mhm.
And he goes, "F you."
Mhm.
And then I don't even think I could say what he said to me. And I was mortified.
Yeah.
And I was scared he was going to do something to my car. And I just sat there and I called my friend who I was meeting inside. And anyway, she went in into the where he's getting his haircut next door to the restaurant and said, just kind of went off. I wasn't in there yet to hear it, and she's like, "Next time you'll think before you bother somebody that's just trying to survive the day, get through their day." And then I go in and then I start on him in front of all the customers. And they were probably like, "Oh my gosh, what do we do?" And I'm sure when I was out of the car,
It,
it's different for him.
mhm.
Like, and he said, "Why didn't you guys take that?" Well, he called them handicap. Ugh. "Why didn't
Yeah.
you take the handy?" I said, "The accessible parking spots were taken." Well, whatever. And I'm like, "Who are you? The parking police?
Mhm.
I don't take up 2 spots." I mean, I do that like once a year, and I don't want to, because you do look like a jerk.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Yeah. I saw my friend, I've known her since high school. She's in a wheelchair, and they finally found a sticker that says, "Don't block the crisscrossy part because I have a wheelchair," or something like. I don't know what it was.
Okay, yeah, I've seen those
Have
on
you seen
vans.
those?
I've never seen them on a
I don't know if
car.
they're helpful or not because I don't know if people care to look at that if they're just gonna.
So I don't have a van, I have a car.
Okay.
So all I need is the 4-foot access aisle, the regular accessible
Yeah.
spots,
Yeah.
not the 8-foot access aisle the vans have.
Okay.
So a car will fit in the 8-foot access aisle. So that's why they have those stickers,
Yeah.
because they cannot have a car parked there.
Yes.
Well, since I only need the 4-foot access aisles, a car can't fit there.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm not going to have that kind of trouble. I've only been blocked a couple times, and it's because I had to take the van accessible
Mhm.
spots, which I try not to do.
Right.
But first of all, people that have vans need them. Second of all, um, I don't want someone parking there and blocking me.
Yep.
So
Makes sense. Yeah. I resonate with a lot of the stories you've told. I've experienced some of those. My parents come with me a lot to a lot of things because I need transportation to certain things, not everything, right? And there was one time the lady, I don't know where we were. I was so upset with what was happening. She looked at my mom and started talking about me to my mom, and I'm just sitting there, you know, how do I want to approach this? I'm very upset. Do I want to be mean about it? Do I want to say what I want to say, or do I use it as a way to practice?
what did you do?
I was nice to a degree, but I was more stern with my tone than I normally am. So I looked at her and I was like, I understand that you might have concerns with how to, talk to me, but please just talk to me. And my mom kept saying, "Oh yeah, Haley is quite capable," and all these things. And my mom, everybody always has questions about me, and in our family because all the children are adopted, so none of us look alike. And so my mom is always used to explaining for us certain things. And mom and I talked about it afterwards. She was like, "Yeah, I was very uncomfortable, but I didn't know how to." And I was like, "I'll handle it next time if that happens more. I'll cut it off right at the beginning and not let her continue." But it really caught me off guard
Mhm.
because you don't expect people to do that in today's world.
No, I haven't had that happen in a gazillion years. The first it did happen a couple times in the beginning, right after my spinal cord injury occurred, and it was less than a year after I was paralyzed. I want to say like 9 months or 10 months, and I was flying from Missouri, Kansas City to California to visit my friend that I was in the car wreck with, and I checked in, airline, the counter, and the agent looked at my dad and asked how to spell my name, my last name, and I looked at her and I go, "I'm the only one traveling. Why are you asking him? He's
Mhm,
just here to carry the luggage."
mhm,
And I just started kind of mouthing off, and I I was from day one kind of a that's not allowed. That's not allowed, that behavior.
mhm.
So I just it's just not allowed.
Yeah,
And I've said things like, please don't speak to me that way. I don't allow it. And that shuts them down. They don't know what to do.
yeah.
But yeah, he was like, "Oh." So yeah, that sort of thing doesn't happen. I think I don't know why it doesn't. I guess it's because I'm a talker, I'm an extrovert. They're not gonna have a chance to because I'm gonna start talking to them. Like, if let's just say it was a restaurant server. First of all, things have changed.
Yeah.
Dealing with Gen Zers, they're not gonna do that. And millennials, it's just not, I don't think it happened to me.
Yeah.
But if it did, I mean, I don't see how it could because I start talking right away. So to them. Um,
Yeah.
but I know a lot of people that have to deal with that sort of thing and they just kind of put up with it
Mhm,
and they don't correct it. And that's okay. They have to deal with it in the best way that they know how and the way that, like my therapist said, the way where they feel the best about themselves. Right. And so I was talking about the Enneagram on the last episode. You've got twos, people that are twos, they're people pleasers, right? And
mhm,
they're not going to speak up and make waves.
mhm,
They don't feel comfortable.
mhm.
And I'm not a two, obviously. So
Let me ask you this. I was thinking this a little bit earlier in the conversation. Your disability happened later in life to you, so you've been in both worlds. My disability also was similar. It happened later in life. Do you think that when you were first dealing with it, the anger and the frustration was more because you know what you had before your disability versus somebody who was maybe born with their disability? Does that make sense? Like,
absolutely.
okay. I was like, I don't know if I'm saying this
I know
the best
exactly what
way.
you mean.
Yeah.
And I think people are born with disabilities are different.
They're
But
more accepting,
yes, and not that stuff doesn't get on their nerves when, other people, but
right?
yes, they're just so used to it and they don't,
Mhm.
they just look at it as part of life. And you're absolutely right. I was used to advantages.
Yeah.
And so to have this big societal disadvantage is ridiculous. To have this societal disadvantage all of a sudden.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was angry.
Yeah.
I was angry. And do you think that, I mean, I'm just being real. I don't
Yeah.
want to sound conceited,
No.
but I was hit on constantly before
Mhm.
when I went into bars or, men just look up to, just constant. I
Mhm.
felt I was treated at the time like I was a beautiful woman by by societal standards at that time. So I got a tremendous amount of attention from men, and I'm heterosexual, so I like
Mhm.
that. I was used to that.
Mhm.
And do you think things changed after that occurred? I mean, of course. So I was angry, and so I didn't. Yeah, I dated. I didn't have the quantity. I had the quality. Selection. It was not the quantity anymore,
Right.
and nobody looking for a trophy wife or anything. So that was actually very difficult because my self-esteem, my self-worth was tied up a lot into external validation.
Mhm.
So that was hard on me.
Mhm.
And I was treated well. Um, I had never been resource poor. So, and I had never been a member of any group that's marginalized or stigmatized, right? So bipolar is invisible.
Mhm.
So didn't have any ableism there. And, I just didn't know what it was like. So yes, I was angry when I was treated differently, and it was drastic and it was immediate.
Mhm.
And the patronization and yeah.
Mhm.
So there was some anger there for sure. That's a good question.
Yeah, I sometimes have the anger flare up from all of it. It just wears on you. Most days I'm all right, but there are times.
That's understandable. It's human.
Mhm. I'm now at the point where I wanna get a shirt that says, "You are in my blind spot." So when I go out on dates, because it's very hard to go on dates.
Oh, well, will they get it, you think?
Ah, if they don't, it's not worth my time.
You might have to explain the nature
And I
of your
would.
of what you can see and what you can't, like you
Yep.
had to do with me earlier.
Mhm.
Like the lighting and
Yeah.
stuff affecting you because they won't know until you
No.
explain that they're in what blind spot means.
Yes.
Um,
But
but it's just as long as it's in your color wheel, the shirt.
mhm.
If you're going on a date, you want to wear a color
Yes.
that looks good on you, like you did today. So as long as it's in your color wheel, then I
All
say
good.
go for it.
Absolutely. Ah, this is such a great conversation.
It is.
Would it be okay if we take a quick break? Maybe get some more water, whatever you need?
Oh, yeah,
Your
the Windex
yeah,
that
your
you guys,
Windex.
yeah, they
Yes.
put the water in these cups and it looks like Windex now.
Yes.
Yes, that would be great.
Okay. All right. Well, we will be back, everyone. Thank you so much for listening.
Living with a disability can feel isolating, but it doesn't have to. At The Whole Person, peer support groups bring people together who truly understand. The Whole Person provides a variety of peer support groups: brain injury group, share experiences and navigate life after your injury; mental health group, connect with others managing anxiety, depression, and other mental health challenges; DIY life skills, build confidence and skills for independence, designed for ages 18 to 24. In addition to these, we offer specific groups for spinal cord injuries, blindness and low vision, and deaf and hard of hearing. Whatever your journey, you're not alone. To find your group and attend our next meeting, please visit thewholeperson.org/peer support or call us at 816-561-0304. Peer support at The Whole Person. Real people, real connection.
All right, everyone, we are back. We were having some laughs and enjoying good company. And I think we were talking a little bit about dating and how that looks for people with disabilities. And we were laughing because I was going to get a shirt that says, "You're in my blind spot."
Uh, I love it.
I mean, whoever created that is just a genius because one, it's an icebreaker, but I mean, honestly, what do you do when your disability isn't something that people can see and you're sitting in a bar like as one does, trying to, chill, relax, maybe find a date or something. How do you do that when you can't see? You don't. And
Right. And I
so
still don't know that people would get it if you had that shirt on.
well, but it would be a conversation starter,
True.
right?
Yes.
Mhm.
That's
And
a good point.
I'd like to think I'm witty sometimes,
Like it.
so, like, maybe
I
I could
like
be
it.
witty in that moment, I hope.
You absolutely. Our conversation on the ad break, during the ad break, absolutely,
Ugh,
you could pull that off.
yeah, yeah. It takes a lot to be confident and make jokes about your disability after a point. But there's so many funny things that happen.
Right.
Like today, I ran into a bookcase. It happens.
Hey, well, as long as you didn't get hurt,
I did
then
not. I was relatively safe. I just kinda stumbled and fell back into it.
I couldn't help but think about time that the wheelchair users, they have this thing called a smart wheel they can add to their
Yes.
manual chair, and it makes it motorized,
Yeah.
and it's like this 50-pound device, so I don't, like, travel with it, but I was driving, so my husband and I went to Yellowstone National Park, and I hadn't used it before,
Mhm.
and I ran into a wooden fence. Like, I couldn't
I
stop,
love that.
and there was a gazillion people around, I'm like, "No more, get this thing off," because I didn't know if I hurt my legs, like,
Yeah.
I could be hurt.
Yeah.
So,
Honestly.
you just reminded me that I ran into the fence
I
pretty hard.
mean, it happens.
Um, yeah. Well, we could all have these everybody has
Yeah.
stuff like that, right?
Yeah. It's just how you handle it and
Yeah.
move on.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
But yeah, the dating world is so hard when you can't see. We were talking a little bit about like in movies, the guy's across the room and he's looking at you and you're looking at him and or whomever you're looking at. It doesn't have to be a guy, let's just say that. But you can't do that when you can't see.
Right, and I don't have any tips or feedback because I don't have personal experience
No. No, you're
with
fine.
that.
It's just
So,
comical. It gets comical, to be honest. It truly does, because then you have to, like, do you explain before you meet the person and potentially scare them off, like when you're texting or whatever? Or do you wait until you meet in person and then you run into something? Or, do you
I'd say it depends on, um, what you're comfortable with,
yeah,
whatever
some
feels right. And I
yeah,
wouldn't wait, like, for I wouldn't be texting back and forth for weeks without mentioning it because it is a part of your life, so it
it
does
is.
look like you're hiding it,
Yeah.
if you do it that way.
Yep.
When I was, had online dating profile many years ago before I was married, I decided what was best for me was to have some headshots and some pictures that where I use a wheelchair. So that was best for me. But I found that not everybody clicked on all of them. And so sometimes you show up and they don't know. And,
Right.
there's that. What do you do? Right.
Yeah.
And then some people are fine with it and some people aren't.
Yeah.
Some people just don't. That hurts. That hurts when you're
Yes.
not used to, so, um, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like I'm no different than any other person. I just can't do a couple things, but I do everything else. I do it different,
Right.
and that's okay,
Yes.
you know? But but dating is hard, because you want to look nice, but when you can't see, how did I do my makeup? Did I do it okay? There's just so much that is visual and you want to like meet those standards, I guess, and you're just trying to fit in and you're trying to be all cutesy and then you get home and you're like, I did that with my makeup? Like, oh no. You know what I mean? Like it's just you get so anxious sometimes working up to like, is the outfit okay? Is the makeup okay? And then you get there and then you have to scan the place and know where your exits are just on a basic level, not like a blind people level, just on a basic level. And, then I'd have to decide if I'm gonna talk to the bartender and be like, "Hey, I'm blind. Like, can you just keep an eye on things?" And I'm usually good at standing up for myself, but sometimes there are situations that you can't predict.
So what about your handbag? Like, do you just hold on to it?
It depends. I wear a
If you're
little
sitting at a
backpack.
bar, okay, so you keep it on.
I
'Cause
can.
I put mine down a lot, and then I have to I have to watch it, so I
Yeah,
can't imagine having,
yeah.
like somebody grabbing it. So I think, not that you asked for my opinion,
No,
but here we
please,
are.
please.
Maybe you're overthinking.
100%.
The men don't care about your makeup,
100%.
so they don't like. I mean, actually, less is better with most men.
Mhm.
So they don't like the huge eyelash extensions and
I
those types of things.
know. But
So
I like makeup and I
yeah.
don't
Oh, I do too.
want to do it super super bad. Like, it's an art form.
hmm hmm
I've
Well, this
learned
is
that.
the second time I've met you in person, and
Yeah.
you've looked nice both times.
Oh, thank you.
And I don't think I think you might be overthinking this.
100%. That's
And when it comes down to it, um, not having quite your favorite shirt on or
yeah.
whatever, like any man is just not going to care.
Yeah. But it's all about like the confidence and
Okay, that is true, and I could see how it'd be different because you don't know what it looks like.
Yes.
And I can look in the mirror and I know exactly what it looks like.
Yep.
So I can see how that would be different. It's
Mhm.
interesting to think about it um, from your perspective.
Mhm. Yeah. It's
Here I am trying to hide my paraplegic,
nope.
belly, because muscles don't hold the organs in. So it sticks out no matter what I do. It doesn't matter if you're thin or, And so that's what I spend time in my mirror doing. But we all have our things, right? Our
Yeah.
insecurities. And um,
Well, I'm just sitting here holding back my chubbiness and hiding behind this table, so I get
mm,
it.
so
As
anyway,
I adjust my sweater just right.
you, like I said, look nice both times that I've seen you, I
You
promise.
look nice as well. What a crazy world. There are just too many things that we could go on and on about, you know?
You're absolutely right. Yeah, we've been talking about ableism, which is
Mhm.
something that I talk about frequently,
Mhm.
but I try not to whine. Like my family and friends, I tell them the funny stuff.
Yeah.
Um, Chat GPT was being ableist the other day, and I told my best friend last night, I was sending her screenshots. I'm like, look at this. And I'm calling them out. They're like, you're right, right. We're sorry. I'm sorry. I just take, basically, it was saying, and I take from what's out there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's just gives me lots of hope about society when Chat GPT is ableist,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So it's just, I get into a lot of conversations about it, but with not tons of conversations with people that don't have a disability
Mhm.
because they don't want to hear I doubt they wanna hear me whine and complain. Somebody said something to me in public again,
Yeah.
but it doesn't feel good. Like, microaggressions can chip away at your soul and
Yes.
just, wear on you, and it's taxing. It's mentally and emotionally taxing,
I agree.
and people that don't we've talked about this, don't have aren't some a member in some historically stigmatized, marginalized group, like, it's discriminated against,
Mhm.
they're not going to understand it. So I don't talk about ableism much with everybody
Mhm.
that I know. So
Yeah, it's hard to talk about a topic when somebody truly does not want to hear it. So I always kind of just steer clear. So it is really refreshing to sit here and be very open with you and talk through
yeah,
it.
it's fun and finding common ground, right?
Yeah.
But actually, now that I think about it, like my dad's neighbor said something ableist and I called it out. Like if I need to call it out, I will. And
Yeah.
I'll be like, I don't want to be around her again, Dad.
Right.
And that's just the way it's going to be.
Yep.
That sort of thing. I will call it out if it's bad enough or I need to talk about it.
Yeah.
But I don't need to say, Dad, guess what happened when I ran to the store a minute ago?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's a spectrum as far as the comments.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And there's discrimination like everywhere. It's like in the judicial system and the healthcare system. It's
Agree.
everywhere. It's not just the comments in public. And it's all over the place.
I agree.
So and it just depends so much. And then there's all the intersectionality.
Hmm.
And
But I think
so
it's important that you and I talked a little bit earlier about you don't know you're going through something until you have to unfortunately be in that situation and understand the terms. And so you always were saying, you know your rights, know what these mean. And I think you mentioned a book to me off camera. It was No Pity.
mhm, by
Um,
Joseph Shapiro.
yes. And just knowing that history, like to some degree, we know the history, but do you really know the history and the terms and what people have done to allow us to be in the position that we're in now? And so I really appreciate knowing the terms and the history and all of that combined. It makes you a better person, a stronger person to advocate for yourself. But if you don't know that you're being discriminated against because you don't understand the terminology, that's a problem.
Right. You just know something doesn't feel right.
Exactly.
And that book can be that's one example of a book that can be validating.
Yes.
Right. And
Yes.
knowing the history of the disability rights movement, knowing thousands of people fought hard.
Mhm.
So we'd get Section 504
Mhm.
signed
Mhm.
with the the sit-ins, and then all the fighting, for the ADA and just what those people went through for us, all starting back in the 60s. So learning about that, you're right. Then you're kind of validated
Mhm.
and you're like, oh, okay, that's not right.
Yep.
It's okay to speak up. I
Yes.
should speak up. I should speak up for those who can't because they're
Yes.
just trying to survive the day
Yes.
because they have big medical issues or maybe they're struggling financially or whatever.
Mhm.
So, absolutely, it's a
Yeah.
good point. And No Pity by Joseph Shapiro is the first disability rights movement book
Mhm.
that I would recommend. If you're only going to read one, I'd start with that one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's very interesting, but you
Mhm.
have to be focused when you're reading this.
Yeah, you have to be focused and interested in the topic. I mean,
Mhm.
he, kind of dives into to it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I would just say continue to educate yourself because there are going to be situations that happen that we might not have definitions for yet. And we just got to keep educating and learning and making our way through the day.
hmm Absolutely.
Hmm.
Love it.
Well, I know we've taken up a lot of your time today. So I think if it's all right with you, we're just gonna go ahead and wrap up this podcast episode. And you are welcome anytime. We would love to have you back anytime if you have a new book that you want to talk about or anything.
I
You're
would love
welcome.
that. And I'm local. I live like
Yeah,
25 minutes away. I would be happy to come back.
please.
So much fun today.
Please. Yes, this has been a really good day. And I appreciate being able to sit here and just talk about the things that we can't always talk about.
Thanks,
So,
Haley. Thanks for having me.
yeah, anytime. All right. Thank you, everyone. You have a great rest of the day. We'll see you next time. Hi, everyone. My name is Haley Korf. I am the vision impaired host for the whole podcast. If you want to like and subscribe, that would be most helpful. We would love it. We just want to get our information out to the community so we can provide support to anyone who needs it. If you want to take a look at our calendar, we do have that on our website. That will show all the peer support groups that we offer. You are more than welcome to give us a call too. We would be more than happy to answer any questions, but it is all listed on the calendar. Take a look at it, enjoy our new website, and thank you so much for tuning in.